Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ryan Eastman coming to you live from Riverside Arena, home of the Winnipeg Voyagers, home of the first two games of the FBA Finals. Joining me in the booth tonight is Christopher Whalen. How you doing, Christopher?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent. So glad we are at minimum 4 games away from the end of the 2021-22 FBA season, at most 7 games away, or some number in between. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Thankfully, the travel is not as bad as it has been. I've had to go from Bangor to Hawaii, and that was a. Let me just say, I racked up plenty of air miles during that week and a
Oh,
half.
I can only imagine.
All paid by FSPN, thankfully. Now, jumping into the tonight's game one, we have two teams that maybe we would not have expected to be here in the finals. Neither team a number one or number two overall seed. We have the Winnipeg Voyagers representing the Western Conference and the Albany Alphas representing the East. Your thoughts on these two teams being the ones to come out on top?
I gotta say, I am a little bit surprised. Both of these teams were not really particularly slated to make it all the way this year. We're looking at the number 4 seed in the West, number 5 seed in the East. And I've always traditionally been very hard on Albany throughout the years. You know that I love to hate them. Um, I think uh, it's matchups like this that are crucial to the FBA because you never really know what's going to happen. You never really know what's going to happen during the finals, especially and during the playoff season. So this is an unexpected surprise, but not an unpleasant one.
Yes, and an opportunity for obviously there's going to be a number of storylines coming out of these games, but on the Albany Alpha side, Narkisa Kaushi is talking about retiring at the end of the season. So the fact that the team was able to make it here gives her an opportunity to go out on top with a second ring potentially. And obviously the fact that Terry O'Toole, MVP of the regular season, made it all the way to the finals. And you can't discount the Winnipeg Voyagers, Kevin Malka, uh, previous Defensive Player of the Year, and uh, Yves Carbonu. We don't have to get into the history between him and Narkissa. This is a family-friendly show.
No, but these two teams definitely are teams that have been working hard to build up their rosters in the last couple of years. And the fact that they're both here is really kind of a testament to how well they've played in the season, despite being kind of seated in the middle of the pack. Both of teams have had a lot of really decisive victories against higher ranked teams, and I think especially in the playoffs here, we've seen them kind of go to 11 and really use that energy that synergy that they've built up throughout the year to get to where they are now.
Yes, and before we get started, we're about to go. I'm going to put you on the spot, Christopher Will. And how many games is this series going to go, and who will be the champion, in your opinion?
Well, I think considering that Narkissa is retiring at the end of the season, I would guess that she's hoping that it goes to 4 in Albany's favor. Um,
Clean sweep.
yeah, full sweep. I think this is going to be a hard fought battle. I think we're going to go 7 games because both these teams really are thirsting for that finals uh, series win. So I think I know I'm traditionally hard on Albany, and I'm still going to continue to be hard on them. I think they're going to put up a good fight, but at the end, I think it's going to be Winnipeg in 7.
Interesting, interesting. I have gone back and forth. I leaned Winnipeg at the start, and that was arguably when I was looking at the final four before we got here. I was kind of debating, okay, if each team made it to the finals, what would I consider um, the best matchup? Who would win in the end? And I'm sitting here looking at both teams, and look at Winnipeg and I see a great defense, and that's just so hard to overcome. They say defense wins championships, but then I look at Albany and I look deeper and deeper into the team, and I look at, okay, what experience do we have here? Yona Vassen, who two-time finals, he didn't win, but he has the arguably some of the most experience in the finals. Narkissa Cassius won a ring back in Tallahassee. Viren Kivar won a ring back with Albany. And they have a nice splattering of young blood to give them flashes of talent. So I ended up flipping from Winnipeg to Albany, looking at not only their experience, but I think their explosiveness on offense. So I actually think it's going to only be 6. I think when Albany is going to surprise us and take at least one away game. I feel like they have the momentum coming in here tonight, and they have all to play for with the knowledge that Narkissa is retiring at the end of the season. You could say every year that every team has everything to lose at this point, nothing to lose at this point. But Narkissa, this is her last show basically, and I don't
Yeah.
think she wants to go out without another ring.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because if they do manage to get a home victory, or excuse me, an away victory here in Winnipeg, in 6, that would still give Narkissa a goodbye in her home court. So, um, you know, I wish her all the best, and if that happens, great for her. But I really also think you have to kind of, don't discount the home court advantage here. Both of these teams have traditionally very strong home court advantages, very, very strong fans in both Albany and Winnipeg. And, and we've seen some of that throughout this playoff series where you've got these very close wins in at home for both of these teams because you've got you've got the fans rooting for you, you've got the energy behind your play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
That it will, and I think I see the players heading to the court now, so we're going to cut down to the court for the start of game 1. And Albany will win the tip-off of game 1. I think that's going to be a very tough matchup going forward. Looking at the two teams, you have the Dragon, Andreas Kokinos, having to match up against Cassius Watterson, as we said, Narkissa missing the opening 3 there. It's actually been the Dragon to get the first points of the game with the big dunk, but as I was saying, the Dragon's going to have a tough matchup against the 7'6" Otter. And even though both players are relatively young, I just have to imagine that the Dragon's going to have the tougher hill to climb between the two of them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Cassius has definitely shown himself to be a team player, and he's really gelled in Albany in a way that he really hasn't on other teams that he's played for.
Yes, and key fact here tonight, the Winnipeg Voyagers have decided to start Mike Timmins at point guard. Apparently going to give him the opening couple minutes of the game. Going to switch back to their main starter, Eric Baltave, but honoring the veteran point guard who has been with the team since the start of his career.
What a great way to honor a really stalwart player.
And an interesting situation there. The ball tipped back up and in on the offensive rebound by, I believe that was Vastenhout. Somehow the ball ended up going into the basket. You don't see that often as Timmins tries to fight in the post. No good. Both teams 2 points apiece. Narkissa unable to make a basket there. And we look at a nice veteran matchup here. Kevin Malka versus Viren Kivar.
When you talk about franchise players, those are two very good examples. Both these players have been with these teams for quite some time.
Very much so. I mean, that is an area that Winnipeg definitely excels at with having multiple stars. And Malka showing his defensive player of the year chops there with the block against Narkissa as Timmins will lay it up in on the other end of the court. And that is exactly what I was referring to in the beginning, that Malka's anchoring of the post is just so dangerous, so difficult to overcome. He is all over the court. So Kivar will lay it up and in.
I mean, let's be honest. You wouldn't want to face up against that wall.
I know he gives up on the height for sure, but he is literally a wall when it comes to some things. As we see Watterson getting in on the blocks against the Dragon. Narcissa trying to get something going for three. Front of the iron, no good. Tough start
I think
for
making
her.
those 3 points is going to be clutch for Albany throughout this whole series. They tend to have a slightly better game from far away than Winnipeg does. I think it's going to be those 3-point opportunities that's going to make the difference for them if they can land them.
And another block there. Again, unfortunate defense all over Narcissa here tonight. And yes, I would say Albany leads slightly in terms of 3-point ability as we see Malka laying it up and in. Albany Alphas are going to go and call timeout. They're not liking what they see in the first 4 minutes. Is they've only managed to put up 4 points here. But yeah, I would lean, again, Narcissa and Terry are 2 very good 3-point shooters. And that's not to say that Winnipeg doesn't have 3-point shooters themselves. It just feels like they're a bit more of an all-rounder with a bit more slashing and post play. And then they definitely use 3-point specialists. Obviously, they traded for Yagori from LVG, and he can add a position, a roll 3-point abilities. We see another block this time from the Dragon against Terry, but it will remain with the Albany Alphas as we see so many blocks so far tonight.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned Narcissa and Terry here. I mean, it kind of speaks volumes that the 2 of them were considered for MVP this year. Both of them are very comfortable playing that in that pocket, that kind of behind the 3-point line, while the rest of the team supports them, and they've kind of been acknowledged by the league for that reason.
As we see Malka is catching on fire here with a shot from 10 feet out. And it is very unusual to have 2 players on the same team finish 1 and 3 in the MVP voting. They oftentimes having 1 player on the team is a little too much and draws too much attention away, but really those 2 have been the offensive force that is Albany this season.
Well, and I think also, Narcissa has a lot of fans. I think that there was a little bit of a push to kind of see her get something for her kind of last swan song here.
Yeah, I mean, she was MVP last year. It's not like she's retiring with nothing in her paws.
That's very fair.
You see a foul there from Francois against Narcissa, and she will get her first points coming from the charity stripe.
Albany is like, we'll take whatever we can get at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, rough start. 5 minutes in, we only have 6 points from the Alphas, averaging barely 1.2 points a minute. But Winnipeg's not that far ahead. Again, they're only up by, well, now I say that, 6 points. But still, it's a slow start for them as well. Astenhoot calling for the screen from Kivar. Going to give it back to him. But he finds a lane to the basket, pulls up from the free throw line, and answers back with one of his own. And I think that is the one area. We talked about Malka being a wall, but Kivar, the Jaguar, has the speed. And it's going to be really tough for Malka to keep up with him the entire series. I think he's going to have opportunities where he can use his size to change the lanes to the basket, but I don't think he's going to have the stamina to keep up with the Jaguars. We see a great block from Watterson. And Martinu takes 3 tries, but he finally gets the bucket. Any other key matchups you're going to be looking at here between these teams as the series progresses?
I think it'll be interesting to see how Mike Timmons kind of compares to Jonah Vasanhout here. You've got two, we kind of mentioned that Mike has been on the Voyagers since the beginning of his career, but Jonah's also a very, you know, someone you'd consider like a household name, a veteran player here. Albany made some pretty strong moves at the beginning of the season to try and get him on the team. So when you've got players that have such a repertoire because they've been in the league for so long, they play differently than maybe some of the younger bloods that we see here on the court. And it'll be interesting to me to how their two leadership styles sort of compare to one another.
Yes, even though I do imagine going forward, they will go back to Baltave in the rest of the series. I mean, he has been a standout. Mike Timmons offers a great calming factor coming off the bench. As we see Terry finally hitting a three here tonight for the Albany Alphas. As we see, both teams, and while we were discussing, have gone on a bit of a scoring flurry as we're up to 15 already. That's, doubled their points in a minute and a half, basically. But again, I do agree. It's very nice for the Winnipeg Voyagers to have a veteran point guard like that coming off the bench. Where you look at the Albany Alphas, and they don't necessarily have that calming factor. They have a much younger bench overall compared to the Voyagers, who have some veterans like Eli Shuck, Aberjohn Middendorf, Mike Timmons. And we'll see how that factors in as the series progresses. As Baltave, who has come in already drawing a foul in the first 30 seconds on the floor. And I think we do see most of the benches out there now. The rookie Hunt with the ball. Over to Avery. Pump fake. Draws up Yagori, but doesn't go for the shot. Shot clock starting to become a problem as the lane opens after the screen, and the layup is good. Albany back within one. They were down not an insurmountable amount, but it's good to see them picking up the scoring here. They were struggling in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Well, that's one thing you can always count on with Albany is that if they're down, they're not going to be down for long. They do a pretty good job of keeping the score pretty close until the last 5 minutes, and that's usually when they fall all apart.
Well, we'll get to see how the second unit compares between the two teams as we see a quick play coming out from Avery. Answering right back to Winnipeg's own. The Puffin passing the ball over to Ide. Calling for the screen. Open on the perimeter. Just hands the ball off to him. Again, a screen. Break to the basket. Oscar fouls the Bird on the way up and will send him to the line for two. If we see Oscar and Watterson on the floor together, I have to imagine that's going to be a bit of a nightmare for the Voyagers if they have that rotation in mind. We talked about Malco being a wall, but Oscar is no slouch himself at 7'5" and I think 330 after visiting the buffet.
Yeah, that's a big dog. He's really kind of grown into his own a little bit here on Albany. A little bit of a surprise pick last year in the draft, but I think he's really sort of kind of learned from some of his teammates and really has become a solid player for Albany.
And chance for Winnipeg to extend the league here. Sorry, Winnipeg. Yeah, my brain Breaking down here is Baltave. Gets the dish down low in the post, but Trishawn with the defense. The GOAT able to get his alley-oop to Oscar. He doesn't dunk it down. The pass was a little bit off, but the St. Bernard adjusts in the air and just taps it in high above the clouds. No one there to even stick a paw in his face. On the other end, no good. Albany a chance here to take the lead as they're going to go quick, and it's going to be the foul. Lynn, the Mantis, going to send Trishawn to the line for two, an opportunity for Albany to get a lead for the first time in, I believe, it might actually be the entire time of the night. I think it was 2-2 at the closest.
Game. Yep. We are tied up with one more to go at the stripe.
And good on the second. There we go. Albany taking the lead here with 1 minute and 30 left to go.
Yep.
Yeah, again, holding on to it. I mean, you said 5 minutes collapsing. They have plenty of time to do that still tonight. Eric on the step back jumper, no good. Coming a little cold tonight. Might wonder if it has to do with playing with the second unit, if he's a little unused to them compared to his normal starting lineup friends. But Timmins played pretty well. That's how they built the lead, was with Timmins at point. Maybe we might see a veteran become the full-time starter in the finals.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think even though Albany has a kind of a younger bench, I feel like their bench has a little bit more depth than Winnipeg's. I think just the way that Albany approaches its sort of team integration, you go a little deeper on their bench than Winnipeg does, and we've kind of seen that here in the last 2 minutes of this first quarter, that the Albany's bench is really picking up the slack here.
Yeah, the scoring definitely has gone their way at the moment, and I'm definitely keeping an eye on the Winnipeg's bench. I want to see who steps up in terms of scoring. They definitely have a good bit of defense coming off the bench, but there are some question marks of, okay, who's going to be the scorer when things get rough? I mean, I definitely look at Albany and go, okay, if they need someone to score, they're going to go to Fitch Loomis on the perimeter. Or if, they need to score in the post, they're going to go to Johansson to get down low. And for Winnipeg, it's like, okay, you have Pierre Caro and maybe
Right.
Middendorf as a mid-range shooter. And Caliber does have some three-point ability, or some general shooting ability, but I think Fitch hasn't beaten that matchup.
Oh, for sure. And it's just, it kind of speaks to Winnipeg starters that they're able to kind of make up that difference for their bench a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the starting lineup. They're able to plug in one player here and there and give their starters a rest without throwing off the chemistry and play design. Whereas with Albany, you do feel like they have a little bit more personality on the bench that, when Oscar's on the floor, yes, you want to be getting the Bernard the ball in the post. Whereas Fitch Loomis, you're going to want to stretch the perimeter. They can kind of take on the game themselves, but at the same time, that changes the dynamic of the team when they do that, as we see Albany building a 5-point lead here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Albany is almost two different teams when you look at their starters versus their bench. Winnipeg has that more of that sort of
cohesion.
Integration. Yeah, cohesion.
As we see a very late foul called against Albany, and Eric a chance for a 3-point play. But off the back iron, tough for the second-year player. We see a fast play on the other end from Albany, no good. Ishijima in the post, unable to convert. They were trying to push the tempo a bit there and get a quick basket.
Well, this is what Albany always does. They once they have their lead, they get cocky.
Well, Treshawn from 3 is good. That's the second 3 tonight for Albany. Terry from the right side, Treshawn from the left. Now if Narcissa can get from the top of the arc, we can have a complete set. And again, we got to think about this is a lot of pressure on the second-year point guard, Eric Baltave, as he fades away there and makes it work. The leg kick from the Russian Puffin. As I was saying, he's only a second-year player, drafted 20th overall. I don't want to say he was projected to not be a starter in this league, but I think a lot of people were expecting Timmons to pick up the role. But the Puffin just showed up at training camp and took it over. And again, it's going to be a lot of pressure on the second-year player here. He did play, I believe, for the Stockholm Stormvind over in the EFBL. So he has professional experience before this.
Absolutely, but I think also we had a particularly strong draft class last year. Not saying that this year's rookies are anything to not be feared, but the players that were coming into the league last year have really sort of taken over some of those starting roles already, which is a little bit unique in that you don't really see sophomores kind of move into those slots a lot. And yes, while Baltave does have that professional experience, it's different playing in the FBA than it is in the EFBL.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, we see some players make a quick transition, others it takes a little bit longer. Albany answering back Winnipeg answering back Caliber this time from the mid-range. 2-point game. Winnipeg unwilling to let Albany build up anything significant here with 9 minutes left to go in the first half. Treshawn calls for the screen. The teardrop off the glass, kissing it in to the basket. Defender was too far behind to make any kind of impact.
Yeah, Albany's holding on to that lead.
Oh, still plenty of time left. Trust me. We haven't even made it to the halftime show yet as Dimmy unable to get it. Watterson back in the game. And another player, speaking of someone who has been stepping up, as we see another little teardrop lay-in, or actually a finger roll lay-in. For the Albany Alphas, Watterson has stepped up majorly. I mean, a player I would have considered for most improved. The 2018 draftee, second round, 26th overall pick, has really come into his own as the defensive anchor for the Albany Alphas.
Oh, absolutely. The Otters really just found his team in Albany and has really become a cornerstone for the team. I mean, I'm sure you heard about Project Alpha 19. I gotta gotta be honest. I was a little skeptical when it first came out, but absolutely, I'm a full believer. The Otter's definitely proven his time here in Albany.
Yeah, he has one more year left on his contract after this season. As we see the starters back in, there we go, Narcissa. We have completed the set as she has made a 3 of her own from, I'm going to call that the top of the arc. But again, with a young player, with Narcissa retiring, Kivar getting older, I think we are seeing some of the new blood, the new future of Albany. As we see a block there coming out from him as I'm talking and singing his praises. Vastenhout on the other end, taking the 3 or the jump shot from just outside the key. Biggest lead of the game, 9 points for Albany.
Well, Albany's always been very good at seeing where they're going to be losing veteran players in the next coming years, and always filling those spots in that bench roster, and really kind of having them find their own, so that when they do lose their key players, the bench can just kind of step into those roles. You've seen that a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and we kind of have to address the elephant that is in the stands. No, not the commissioner. Um, uh, Jona Vastenhoed, a player that many necessarily weren't expecting to, be the starting point guard, because, you know, a certain Callum Williamson was expected to be the starting point guard going forward, and you kind of have to wonder what Callum feels seeing the Albany Alphas in the finals here.
Oh, if I was Kellum, I would be super disappointed to see the team that I, put blood, sweat, and tears into, definitely being groomed for that starting role. Perhaps a little too, not quite ready for it in their rookie year, and then to be denied it when, as the rest of the sophomores that I kind of mentioned were really coming into their own, being traded off. And then seeing your team go to the finals, that's got to be rough.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't affect his confidence too much because, again, he was the major change between last year's team and this year's team. But again, a lot of people were not expecting Albany to make it here as we see Martineau shooting a three, no good. Albany a little cold themselves now. Narcissa back on the floor trying to make it work. That three got her some confidence, but I think Winnipeg Voyagers have identified her as a target as we see a block there. Speaking of either team, what is your game plan coming into this game in order to shut down your opponent's strongest player?
Well, we talked about how the Voyagers have a really strong defense. I think their focus has to be on these players that we've sort of identified already. Terry O'Toole, Narcissa, Cassius, Fitch Loomis, these players who are able to just, even when opposed, can usually land these shots and, maybe kind of ignore some of the other players, double team some of these really, for lack of a better term, hot shots, and make them go cold, which is what we're seeing right now with Narcissa. There's a huge focus on making sure that if she has the ball, that she either has to throw it away or doesn't make the shot. And if they keep that up, I think Winnipeg's going to find themselves heading towards the lead once more.
Oh, yeah, and we've seen Malka stepping in, and he seems to be, I don't want to say half paying attention to Kivar, but he has an eye on Narcissa, and every time we see Narcissa looking like she's about to get a breakaway, Malka's right there to A, slow her down, and B, put up a paw and block whatever spot-up shot she's coming. It was Timmins going to elevate for the dunk after the timeout. Great use of the timeout to get a basket there. But, again, we got to keep an eye on Winnipeg, what they do to shut down Albany, because I do feel like their strength is their defense, and they're going to lean into it in order to shut down. Even if they can only shut down Narcissa, it's going to put a lot more pressure on Terry and the rest of the team to step up. As we almost saw a strip there from the Alphas. Timmins in the paint, wanting to contribute off the bench, or I should say as the starter, as he does, having a good game tonight. And the ball almost stripped there by Timmins, in fact, but corralled by Watterson, who just lays it up and in. And I think if I'm the Albany Alphas, if I'm looking at the Voyagers, you obviously can't ignore Carbonu. He's more of an all-around player, jack of all trades, which makes him a threat on both ends. You see a good block from Kivar there. So I don't necessarily think you can ever really shut him down. He's not specialized enough. Vastenhoed knocks over Timmins, and no foul called on either side. Refs letting the players play. So I wouldn't necessarily focus on shutting down Carbonu. I would focus on, the rookie or the sophomore players, Baltave and Andreas, and really try and exploit their experience. And if you can take out either of their playmakers or their defensive anchors, it's just going to make your series so much easier to win.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things that Albany is really good at and can do in this game is drawing fouls on these players. So if you get, if you get Malka to fall out, if you get Martineau to foul out, um
He can also
uh
fall out of his chair. I mean, once we're in Albany,
yeah.
they could loosen a few screws.
It's my Canadian accent coming out. The when you've got these powerhouses in Winnipeg's starting line that we kind of talked about a little bit, uh, you lose that puzzle piece, and there's no one really to step up in really to kind of take that place. And so once you start losing that cohesion, once you start losing those big players in Winnipeg, uh, it becomes easier to find those chinks in the armor. I think Albany being so good at playing so physically and drawing those fouls, their best bet is to get the pangolin to you know have to defend the basket and maybe draw those fouls or force some of the other starters to draw those fouls. And then once they're off the court, either because of fear of fouling out or because they're um, because or it actually happens, then that's when you go for the kill.
Yeah, like you said, all they have to do is exploit the weaknesses, and I feel like the weakest point on Winnipeg side is going to be its sophomore players, and Albany I think has a bit more. Like I mentioned the game why I'm leaning towards Albany. They have the experience, but as we've seen here, Timmins coming off the bench starting this game has put up a significant portion of the Voyagers' points, and he's showing why he can't discount the rookie or the veteran just because he's on the bench. He can step it up in the biggest moments. As we see a block coming out from Eli, the second pangolin on the Winnipeg Voyagers.
I want to see someone violate the species rule with just pangolins.
Yep. Layup. Ooh, good recovery by Timmins there, just tipping it back in, and he has kept this game close. 3 points here after Winnipeg had been down by 9. Big showing from the veteran as Albany will get the last possession. Might see them go for a 3. No good as time expires. 3 points.
I appreciate that. I always like seeing at halftime one team being ahead because if you're tied at halftime, it's like the whole first half really didn't happen. So it's good to see any team have that. Both teams are pretty evenly matched right now with a 49% shooting average.
Well, again, they managed to stay relatively close considering it was a bit of a late push by Winnipeg. As we dive on into the stats, Carbonu hasn't even taken a shot here tonight, but 2 rebounds,
Wow.
1 assist. Timmins, 14 points. Great showing from the veteran Pronghorn. 1 rebound, 2 assists. Kevin Malka, 4 for 4 from the field with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and showing up on defense with 2 blocks already. Getting it done on both ends of the court. Francois, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block as well. 2 of those rebounds were, of course, in those that offensive. He kept putting the ball back up himself. Kokinos, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block to add to his name as well. Demi, 2 points, 2 rebounds. Ide, 4 points, 2 for 4 from the field. Baltave, 6 points in his minutes so far. Yegori, 2 rebounds in his minutes. Lin, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Eli, a block, a steal, assist, and 2 rebounds. May not be getting the points, but the other pangolin living up to the defensive nature of his species. Caliber 2 points in his 4 minutes. And then diving on over to the Albany Alphas. Watterson, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. The leader in blocks here tonight. Bassett 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Terry O'Toole, 3 points, 3 rebounds. Only taken 1 3-pointer here tonight so far. Kivar, 4 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and a block as well for the Jaguar. 2 for 3 from the field, and his only miss was a 3-pointer that he took as the shot clock was not in his favor. Ball was left in his paws, so better to take the shot than get the turnover. Cassius now has been fighting against the defense. I think a number of the blocks have been against her on the Winnipeg side. She has put up 9 points, but 3 for 13 is not the kind of showing she wants to put up, and we'll have to see if she makes an adjustment, if she keeps trying to fight through the defense. Because, again, if she can start drawing contact on these plays, she can definitely get the Voyagers in foul trouble and make them lay off of her.
Absolutely.
The rookie Hunt, 2 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Avery, 2 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Lemon coming off the bench with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 for 8 from the field. And then Treshawn stepping it up, 11 points in only 9 minutes, 4 for 5. Great showing from the GOAT here tonight. Johansson, 2 points, 2 rebounds. Ishijima, a single rebound. Loomis, 2 assists, no points yet in the game. And with that, we'll head back into the second half. Game very close, 51-48. Still a lot of time left to play, but if these teams keep it up, we have a great showing ahead of us. So we see a quick play down the post, and Watterson just continuing to add to his blocks. It's his fourth one tonight. I mean, the Otter's got some long limbs, and we're going to see on the other end, Vastenhout. He's not the main scorer for Albany, but he can get it done. He can lay it up and in. He was on the Hawaii Kahunas for a while and had to definitely learn how to balance passing the ball and getting the points when needed. And Watterson, his 5th block now already, and if he keeps this up, he could get a triple-double.
Nice little feather in the cap for the veteran there, if he can pull it off.
Yes, we see a foul from behind by the Dragon, getting a little upset on that call, but the contact came from behind, and you know the refs are going to call that unless you get a clean block with no contact. See a little bit of a replay there as he does hit the paw on the way up and still made the basket, though. So an and one opportunity.
Winnipeg not happy about that.
Oh, of course not. I mean, they've watched a 3-point lead. Oh, thankfully a miss there. Balloon to 7. They need to get some answers back themselves. This is where Carbonu needs to step it up, and he's going to take it himself over the defense. 2 bounces, but no good.
Carbonu's letting his girlfriend shine this game.
Yeah. As we see Kivar, no good there, and it's going to be Carbonu bringing it up on the other end, dishing down low in the post, but getting it right back. Playing a bit of a passing game, seeing who is open, and Timids has been good tonight. They need him to continue, but Carbonu, can you get something started? And no from beyond the arc.
The Arctic Fox is super cold tonight.
Oh, and a huge dunk coming out from Kivar. That's the speed I was talking about from the Jaguars. He elevates and slams it down with both paws.
We followed that all the way up here in the announcer booth.
That we did. I mean, we're lucky the rim hasn't broken, but these things are built to withstand DQ, so I think they can handle the Jaguar here. Backing down, Timids gets Watterson. Watterson doesn't come up with a block, but enough of a defensive presence to make the miss. And now Kissa wants to pick up the pace. She's going to step in. No good, but she gets her own rebound. Not something she normally does. but gets the put back. And it's an 8-0 run, and I wouldn't be surprised if Winnipeg calls a timeout due to Albany's run. But no, they're going to let it play. Timmins starting to run a little bit low on time. Going to have to do something. 2 seconds. Over to Malka for 3. Not the fur you want, as he does at least make contact with the rim, but it was well short. And Winnipeg a chance. They can't afford to stay down. 11 here early in the third, and it's going to be a Timmins. Narcissa fell over after the shot, and he was just able to pat it back in after the miss, as no one came over to help. O'Toole for 3, no good, but it's going to be Kivar with the putback. And I think we're seeing here there is a timeout. Albany has kicked up to another gear here, and Winnipeg just hasn't adjusted yet. What do you think Winnipeg needs to do here? I mean, obviously it seems like Narcissa is still struggling a little bit, but everyone else seems to have picked up the pace here, Christopher.
I think at this point Winnipeg has 2 choices. They can either go full on defense, or they can kind of go against their own grain here and really push for the offense. I know that sounds kind of silly in a way, but sometimes you're only left with those 2 options, and I know Winnipeg like to try to balance it out a little more, but at this point I think you just got to go full defense. Just stop those playmakers when you can, and just take those opportunities to shoot in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, every missed possession. Ooh, we see a foul there from Malka. He wanted a big block. You're definitely right. If you can induce a bit of a cold streak and just slowly chip away, there's no need to panic right now. Yes, they're down now by 12, but there's still 20 minutes left to go in this game. That is plenty of basketball left to be played, and you're not out. You're the team that made it to the finals. You've shown the grit to make it through 7-game series, to make it here against teams that were talked about way more in the media. You were almost ran off. Neither team can be ran off here tonight, or any night in this series.
Both of these teams should be very proud that they're here. Just the tenacity to get here in the first place, to play on the biggest basketball stage in the world. I dare say even bigger than the Olympics. This is the FBA. These are the finals, and win or lose, you have to be proud that you're here.
Yep, and again, we see a nice pickup there from Winnipeg, but they need defensive stops. That's the big thing at this point.
And they can do it. I mean, we've seen teams come back from larger deficits, especially in the finals before. Winnipeg still definitely has a chance here, even as we're winding halfway through the third quarter here.
Yeah, and again, got the stop there, but unable to make the ball on the other end is Watterson. Ooh, going to get called for the travel there. The pivot foot did slide just a little bit.
The web paws are not helping him right now.
Again, you have a bigger body going against a smaller fur. You definitely want to lean in, but you have to be cautious against getting called for the charge, because the refs will look, okay, 7'6" Otter going against a 6'9" player, and the Otter leans into the 6'9" player. All they have to do is fall over and sell it enough, and then you got a free charging foul. That's another thing they can't afford to do, is a and one opportunity for the pink Orchard Mantis now. And that is one way to get back into the game if they're struggling from beyond the arc. Like I said, I'd love to see Balte start taking a few threes as well. I think he could definitely get them back in this game quickly if he can get them to fall, but it can be a confidence issue as well, because empty possessions just dig a hole deeper and deeper. And no good on the free throw.
You got to make those free throws.
At this
They
point,
can make.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is Terry going to step back? No good. Watterson fighting Malka for the ball, but kind of hard to get around his scales, even with those high extra inches in terms of height. Winnipeg driving into the paint is good. Down by 7. This is the kind of play you're talking about. Good stops on defense and then chipping away. If they score a point, you got to score 4 before they score their next set. Terry calling for the screen, wanting it to get done himself, and he is going to draw the contact against the Mantis. Lynn, second foul here tonight, but again, coming off the bench, I'm not too worried about her fouling out. And if she did, she's not necessarily going to be the main production.
Take a break. 2 shots.
Yeah, so like Winnipeg doesn't. I think they need to focus less on scoring. I mean, obviously they need to make up the points they're missing, but if they can stay focused on defense, making sure that Albany can't score. I think it's a subtle shift in dynamic, but that deficit will be made up naturally. You just focus on making sure Albany can't get to the basket, either by swatting the ball away or blocking shots that are being made, and you'll be able to catch up for sure.
Yeah, and again, Winnipeg, that is actually the best way I feel like to do it. Get the free points at the charity stripe.
And don't miss.
Yeah, and don't miss. Well, he doesn't there. And again, all the pressure on the second year. But there it is, unable to convert the second. We're going to see a fast play. Fitch Loomis knocking over the Sable and laying it up and in. Again, the refs, for the most part, letting both teams play here tonight. Caliber, essentially a free throw, but no good, was moving just a little bit.
So what I'm seeing here is Winnipeg has to work on their fundamentals.
I mean, there might be some free throw practice after this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's not necessarily even at the college level, you're able to get away with missing free throws to an extent. At the professional level, you're expected to at least perform, consistently. In there, the St. Bernard elevates with a dunk. And that's, I think, going to be the biggest area for Winnipeg they're going to struggle with is the combo of Oscar and Watterson, the 7'6", 7'5" Furs. That's not to say Winnipeg doesn't have tall Furs on their own, but I just have to lean towards Albany in terms of their post playmakers.
And it's interesting because you see these players and they look like they work pretty well on the court together. If you delve at all into their personal lives, I understand that Johansson and Watterson do not like each other at all. But that sort of like goes to show how well Albany does at putting personal differences aside and really working as a team.
And we missed a alley-oop to Fitch Loomis on the other end, Albany, but Winnipeg not backing down, answering back each time. Terry O'Toole with the ball. Shot clock starting to wind down. Trying to get something going. Is on Lynn. Giving it back to Sean for 3. He's been hot tonight. Bouncing around, no good. But Oscar, the putback, and he's going to have an opportunity for 3. And maybe Lynn is going to get in some foul trouble. That's the third one for her. I mean, only 15 minutes left to go in the game, and she's probably going to be benched. Actually, might be benched right now, as we're going to see some starters, I believe, coming back in. can't afford to let this lead build any more for Albany. And one is good. 13-point game. Biggest lead so far tonight for Albany. And I think we need to see Yves coming on the floor, or Eves at some point, to start taking some threes, because we're getting to the danger point of, okay, we're not going to be able to make up much. There's Ide, just inside the three-point line, does make the shot fall as the shot clock was starting to wind down.
Well, and you see the raccoon. They are saying, okay, this the starting line is not doing it for me. I got to come in and take and start making these plays here because we're not picking up the pace.
No, and at this point, Albany, obviously they're going to not take they can't take their paws off the gas, but they can start burning the game clock just a little bit more, and they can start slowly twisting the vice that is the time that is going to be the enemy of Winnipeg, as we will see Baltave heading back to the line for 2.
Well, and yeah, if you're Albany, why not foul Winnipeg? You know, they've been proven to be very cold at the free throw line tonight. If the choice is between 2 points or 1 point.
Well, able to make them there, 65-74, 2 minutes and some change left to go in the third quarter. I feel like Winnipeg, moral victory, needs to keep this a single-digit deficit. Obviously, if they can tie this up or get within a basket or two, that's the absolute best. But I think if they go into the fourth quarter down by no more than 9, they can hold their heads high and consider the last 12 minutes not out of reach for them. Any more than that, and I'm going to have some concerns about it, because Albany here tonight has not shown any real weakness outside of Narcissa, and even then, they might have been able to shut down Narcissa, but they have not been able to shut down the rest of the team, even if she is struggling here tonight. Good defensive showing there. Carbonu going to go for a quick 3 in transition, and that is how he needs to perform here tonight. The co-captain getting it done for the Voyagers now.
Somebody finally decided to show up at the game.
I mean, you know, it can take the Arctic Fox, you know, a little while to warm up. As we see a hard block by Eli there against Vastenhout. Not a flagrant foul, even though Vastenhout went down a little hard to the floor. Chance for 2 from the line. Maybe the fall rattled him a little bit as it rattles out.
Gotta stretch those back muscles a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there is a surprising fact that they actually do teach you how to fall, because you do not want to land wrong. And they actually practice falling, not only practicing for charges, they send those to acting school for that. But teams definitely do bring in stunt coordinators and stuntmen to like show players how they can fall safer, because you never want to be in a situation where you fall and permanently injure your hand in a league that relies on your shooting ability. And good for the and one there. Winnipeg within 6 with less than a minute to go. And you have to trust that the fans are going to keep cheering them on here. They can't give up hope, even if it seems like Albany continues to put on the scoring without any signs of slowing down. 79 here, close to breaking the 80 mark. Zide trying to lay it up and in, no good. And Albany will get the last possession unless if they make it here, they can go. Oh no, they want to go quick. Kivar will go to the line for 2 after that foul.
You gotta wonder what Albany's thinking here. Like, why wouldn't you just run out the clock a little bit?
You would think. I believe Kivar thought, I don't know, maybe it was four-dimensional chess here. He knows that Winnipeg thinks Albany's going to run out the clock, so they're going to be a little lazy on their defense, so he tries to charge up the paint and catch them off guard. Either way, he makes both free throws, and now the onus is on Winnipeg. Can they meet my arbitrary goal of saying a single-digit deficit? Because it can be such a psychological fact. I mean, why else do all the stores list it as 99 cents when they can just round it up to $1 and make everything sane? And no good, not enough time left, even though Kokinos does get the offensive board. And we do see the Albany Alphas go into the final quarter, 81. Winnipeg Voyagers down by 10, 71. Still 12 minutes left to go, and you can't say they are out of this game yet, but with each passing possession, it just becomes a little bit harder to come back in game one.
It's true, and 10 points is it's more of a molehill than it is a mountain, but it can feel like a mountain in the fourth quarter, especially after you've been pushing so hard to try and reclaim that lead in the first three quarters. These players are tired. You can see it in their faces as they struggle to figure out how to stop Albany from growing that lead.
And right there, exactly the point. We saw the defense overcommit on Winnipeg and just left an easy lane for the dunk as Kivar blocking. I believe that was Kokinos there. And again, just some struggles on the Voyagers side. The possessions, they do so well on defense, and then they struggle to get the offensive side. And it is unfortunate when they do struggle on the defense and they just can't keep pace, as Eli will go up and lay it in with a foul by the rookie. Will send him to the line for one. And converts it, the veteran. Able to put up 3 points there. And we do see a substitution. We're going to see Pangolin pair on the court. Malka coming in for the Dragon, going to give him a little bit of a rest. Watterson with the ball at the top of the shooting arc. Calling for a screen. Likes his matchup here, but gives it over to Vaston, who shot clock becoming a problem. Spin move, drives his lane to the paint off the glass. Winnipeg did so good preventing any kind of play from developing, but in the end it did not matter as Vaston, who showing up tonight, stepping in for Narcissa, has 17 points here. Is Eli blocked by Watterson? That's his 6th or 7th block here tonight. But they quickly get possession back and make the shot. Still within 9 here for Winnipeg. Narcissa running circles, calling for multiple screens, but there is Francois. Just handed the ball, cuts off the passing lane, drives to the basket himself. Off of the glass is good. Winnipeg is not dead yet, and the fans are on their feet. Narcissa for 3, blocked by Marnu. Marnu is picking it up here in the final quarter. And now it's on Carbonu to make the basket count, but Watterson just leaning over the Arctic Fox picks up yet another block. He is truly on track. That's the word I was looking for a triple-double, not the path. Timmets dancing around off the glass, no good. Vastenhout. No, it's going to be the Penguin Eli over the back call. I thought for a second we may have had a foul that would have kept possession in Winnipeg's paws, but nope. Vastenhout with the ball. Left wide open for 3. No good. He struggles a bit from out there, but if he's going to be left that open and he's feeling hot, he's going to take it. Yves going for an alley-oop, but it's intercepted and the ball actually goes out of bounds as the web paws of Watterson were on the line. In Winnipeg, they still have life here, Christopher.
They absolutely do, and we're reaching that critical 5-minute mark where Albany is going to fall apart. So,
Yeah, well, Albany, at least before that 5-minute mark, is going to go ahead and put up a basket. Watterson not willing to let the collapse happen. If he has to hold up the team, he will. On offense and defense. Timmins with the ball, calling for the screen. Malka down the post. He has a good matchup against Vastenhout. But Yves wants the screen. I think he wants to go for a three. No, he wants to drive in himself and take the shot, but no good. And here we go. Watterson gets his Timmins. This is a terrible matchup for Timmins. But no, he's going to give it out to Narcissa, who steps in and makes a shot. And Winnipeg has to call timeout. 7 minutes and 41 seconds left to go, and Albany has had a little bit of a run here. They're back up to 11, but Winnipeg has shown they can get it back down to within a couple possessions. And I hate to harp on it, but what can Winnipeg really do here? You talked about, you suggested all-out defense. They've had some good defensive moments, but it seems like Albany is just overcoming them. They have not been able to truly shut them down.
it's true. I think at this point, especially here in the fourth quarter, as we're getting at the halfway point in the last quarter here, Winnipeg just needs to get some of their players to show up. Like Yves Carbonneau has not been here at all game. And I made the joke about him letting his girlfriend win earlier. But I as a team captain, there's some responsibility on his part to actually look like he's putting in some effort, and he's very cold all evening long.
Yeah, and I mean, we can't discount Terry O'Toole is not an easy dog to go against on the other end. So I'm sure he might be feeling it out going against the MVP. There is some pressure there. And we'll have to see if he's able to really step up as the series goes on. Tonight he has been fairly cold. I think he had the three and a couple 2-pointers. Maybe 2 threes even. But still, not the kind of production. I know he's a jack of all trades, but he is relied upon to help anchor and stabilize the offense, and he just hasn't been able to do that tonight. It's the Dragon giving it back to Timmins, who has a tough shot over Kivar, and there is O'Toole collecting the rebound.
I've just handed a note from one of our interns that I don't think is correct. I'm being told that the pronunciation for Carbonneau's first name is Yves. I don't think that's correct.
I'm not French, so I don't pretend to know how to say any words. At this point, Winnipeg down by 13. Albany a chance to add another one. Narcissa, she's been cold tonight, but she has been trickling in the threes throughout the game, and right there in a prime moment, absolutely silencing the crowd. And now it's on Winnipeg to answer back with one of their own if they really want to stay competitive in this game, or if maybe starting to consider, not risking injuries by fighting it out here. Down by 16.
At this point, if you're Winnipeg, you're just hoping that Albany doesn't get into triple digits.
I mean, you can hopefully stop them, but 6 points in 5 minutes. I mean, Albany could fall asleep right now, and they'd still probably break 100. But good defensive stop there from Winnipeg, generating the turnover. But these long possessions that are not generating open shots are very difficult. Kivar versus Timmins is not a great matchup unless it's a outright speed battle, and even then he can keep pace with point guard. So that's one of the problems with trying to challenge him like that, is Terry O'Toole, the reigning MVP now, converting there. He's only had 2 field goals here tonight, 7 points, but again, on the court, he has been having an impact. And Narkissa coming with the steal, fast and hoot with the fast break over Timmons, but too much mustard on that off the back iron. Denied the 20-point lead.
I think Albany is going to make me eat my words here.
Hey, they just hit the 5-minute mark. They could all collapse on the floor and just let Winnipeg score.
It's true. It's very, very true.
No good there. And unfortunately for Winnipeg, Albany to collapse, they need Winnipeg to tango with them. And right now, it's just not coming to fruition. Even though the Dragon in the fast break does dunk it down. He's had a bit of a struggle here tonight, but given an open lane, he is going to at least give the crowd something to cheer about.
A big basket for the Dragon there.
And again, here's the problem. Albany can just sit here and watch the seconds tick by, and honestly, 16 points. At best, that's 6 possessions. That's still almost 3 minutes off the clock, and it doesn't help with Kivar hit such a long range, too, as the shot clock was winding down. That's his 12th point here tonight. I said at this point, Winnipeg basically has to chuck up threes on every possession quickly if they really want a chance to knock this away. But with how long each Timmons good on the first. But no good on the second. Another player to go to the free throw practice this after this game, it seems. And Narkissa breaking the 100-point mark there. She does have 18 points. It has been like pulling teeth for her tonight, but she does break the 100 mark for Albany. Blocked by Watterson. Ooh, he's getting dangerously close. I think he might be 1 shy of a triple-double, maybe 2. Oh, I think he might have gotten another block there. We'll have to see what the stat sheet says in the next 2.5 minutes. But Watterson absolutely being a terror on defense. Kissa. One-on-one against Malka, gets blocked. As Narkissa passing down low in the post, and hopefully technical difficulties will be resolved next game. I think the internet trailer needs to have its wires messed around with. As a double block by Malka there. Ball, battle for it. Who's going to come up with it? Timmons. A little bit of slappies between all of them. Finally gets it. He's going to step into the paint. No good against Terry. Narkissa driving to the paint. Not able to convert, though. In the last 60 seconds tick down, Christopher. I think the game has been decided, but if you're Winnipeg, what do you take away from this loss?
Well, I think you go into game number 2 realizing that you can't underestimate Albany. I mean, that's sort of been the story of Albany all season, is that they're a little bit of a stealth team in that they've kept their record low enough that they're seated number 4, but they've taken down some really big giants along the way.
Yes, and we're gonna see again if Winnipeg's trying to keep it at least below 20. They don't want to say they lost game 1 by 20, and we do see both teams will substitute out. There's a dead ball, but I think Narkissa is just gonna let this game wind down, just dribble out the clock, unless she wants to shoot a 3 just to mess up her stats a little bit more here at the end. But
I was gonna say Albany had hit their 5 second mark and they could fall apart at that point, but
Yeah, they can just fall over. But again, we're gonna look at the Winnipeg Voyagers. Carbonu, very quiet, 1 for 6, struggled tonight, had 1 3-pointer, and that was it. Timmins, he was hot early, and then in the fourth quarter, I think the minutes started to get to him. 7 field goals for 22 is not the kind of percentage you want to see. Malka was converting when he got the ball, ended up with 5 blocks. He's definitely more of a defensive player, so him shooting efficiently is very good to see. Francois, again, the struggle seemed to be across multiple players. 4 for 12, usually a consistent score for them, as is Andreas, 6 for 17. And Watterson, he's just going to have to get used to that matchup and make adjustments on how he plays this game because I think Watterson right now has the lead in terms of their matchup, who I would lean towards. Bal-
absolutely.
Balte, 11 points. Eli, 3 points, 4 rebounds, assists, block, steal, trying to collect all the stats. Josiah, 6 points, 2 rebounds, assist. Lynn, 2 assists, 2 points, 1 rebound. Yegori, 1 basket made for 2 points and 2 rebounds. Of course, it was a nice dunk coming out from the rookie. Demi, 2 points, 2 rebounds, all coming from the charity stripe. Caliber, 6 points, 1 rebound in his 9 minutes on the floor. And we'll jump on over to Albany, the victors for today's game. And I have to lean towards Watterson stepping it up. And he was 1 block shy of 10. Not like he had the points he needed for a triple double,
Uh,
anyways. But that right there is the stat that shows why Winnipeg struggled tonight. 9 blocks. That's 9 baskets potentially that were denied that could have brought them. Winnipeg would have been up by 1 if they made every shot he
yep,
blocked.
18 points for sure.
Vaston, who performed well, 17 points, 7 rebounds. Not normally the stat he is known for. Terry O'Toole, 7 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists.
Also, a little quiet stay.
Yeah, I mean, they won. I can't complain. I will complain about Narcissa, 7 for 26. Has to pick it up if they're going to continue to succeed in this series. It really was, I feel like, the bench and the absolute defensive powerhouse that was Watterson tonight that prevented Winnipeg from having a chance despite the shooting woes from Albany's uh, Lemur. Jackie Lemon off the bench with 10 points. Avery, 4 points. Trishawn, 13 points. Not a player we normally see step up in the scoring department, but did tonight. Johansson, 7 points, 3 rebounds from the St. Bernard. Ishijima, 2 rebounds in his 9 minutes. Missed 1 shot as well. Fitch Loomis, quiet tonight, but 2 for 3 with 2 assists as well. The nice little finger rolls you saw in the replay. And that is game 1. We'll take a look at the team comparisons, but it really felt like Winnipeg had it very early, but once the half ended, Albany just made the better adjustment.
Absolutely. And we're looking at the battle of the bench here. I mentioned early on in the game that Albany's bench depth was critical, and we certainly saw that tonight in this game. They really stepped up their game and supported the front line here tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the stats and you go, okay, they're very similar in a lot of departments. It really was just the field goal percentage in the end. I mean, uh, between the blocks, Albany had 11, Winnipeg had 9. That's not really that different, except you consider the fact that 9 of those blocks came from one player on Albany. And that just tells you how much of a defensive presence he was in the post. So I think Winnipeg, they need to take away, okay, how do we avoid Watterson? If he's going to be that much of a problem in the next couple games? He's shown us what he can be. We just need to prevent him from having opportunities to be that problematic here.
Right. Well, I think just Winnipeg needs to. I mean, let's be honest. They need to get their act together.
Yeah, losing game 1, that is on the road or at home, is not how they expected to start this series. they've lost home court advantage now with just this loss.
We've got I've got one of our interns telling me that Watterson made as many blocks as Winnipeg did in total.
Yes, and I mean fair, but he was also the only one really blocking for Albany. Uh,
That's also fair.
so, but at the end of the day, he is going to be a key factor, I think, in this matchup, this series. And we definitely need to see which, because again, we saw very big struggles from both teams' normal stars. I really don't feel like any of them performed to expectation here tonight.
No, for sure. And you could just call it first night jitters, but that's a big jitter for Winnipeg, especially when you're in the finals and maybe weren't slated to be by many people. Like you want to show up at the first game of the finals and show that you're a team to contend with. And I think unfortunately Winnipeg just fell short.
Yeah, I have to agree. Any final thoughts before we head off for the night?
I am so excited for this matchup. I again, I've traditionally been hard on Albany throughout my years of doing this, and um, Winnipeg sort of hasn't really been on my radar. So, I mean, if we're being completely honest, this definitely wouldn't have been the finals group that I would have picked. But we're here, and both these teams have proven that they're here to play. I just want I I really don't want to just indicative of the rest of the series because I really do want to see Winnipeg at least try to fight for it a little more. Um, and they really have to. I think this next game here at home is going to be super critical for them. And if they can prove that they're willing to defend their house, we might have a series here. If they lose the next game, then I may I may walk back my prediction and say Albany in 4. So
Or they're setting up Albany to choke a 3-0 lead.
and what a Cinderella story that would be.
Now we would come back to game one and be like, Christopher was predicting a 5-minute choke. Little did he realize the choke was much bigger.
There's a 5-game choke.
No, but Albany has the momentum here. If they can steal to the next game in the series here in Winnipeg, I do have to worry for Winnipeg going on the road. Again, Winnipeg at this point, the next game is not into the series, but it's going to feel like it if they lose. So they have to go home tonight. I'm sure there's going to be a big meeting with the coaching staff and the players about what they need to do because the game was close in the first half, but the second half things just fell apart, and they can't afford to have that happen in game two.
You know, Winnipeg, thanks for coming out after the game. This little device right here on the court is the free throw line. When you step up to the line, you can get free points. If you don't get free points, we're very disappointed in you.
Well, I've been Ryan Eastman. That was Christopher Whalen. Thank you for joining me once again.
Thanks for having me.
And we will see y'all next time here once again as the Albany Alphas look to secure a 2-0 lead while Winnipeg will fight for their life and try and maintain a tied series. See you next time.